Welcome back to Gruber Motor Company, the auto shop of the future. Today we're going to talk about the predictable and deferred maintenance issues with the Tesla Roadster. Exotic cars, like Ferraris for example, have scheduled maintenance events like the 30,000-mile major tune-up, which costs upwards of $5,000. Unlike internal combustion engine cars, however, in which wear and tear is based mostly on miles driven, an EV, like the Tesla Roadster, is full of electronics, and it's more sensitive to aging components in the electronics rather than mileage. These electronic assemblies in these cars have aged 10 to 13 years, and they have components inside that are due for replacement. The power electronics module in a Tesla Roadster, also known as the PEM, is not the only electronic assembly that's accruing deferred maintenance issues. But in this video, we're going to address just the PEM issues. The PEM is a complex electronic assembly and the command center of a Roadster. Why do you think Tesla does not open and repair PEMs at the service center level? Despite being staffed with highly skilled auto repair techs that have a strong mechanical and diagnostic software skill background, they are not trained in electronics, board level repair, or using the type of test equipment designed to troubleshoot advanced electronics like this. Swapping assemblies is their service approach. Inside a PEM, there are a series of boards full of electronics that actually create the three-phase AC voltage necessary to drive the propulsion motor. Opening a Tesla Roadster PEM, which is sealed so well the interior is almost a sterile chamber, you will find it is full of complex electronics. This level of complexity surpasses skills commonly found in any auto service operation. Back at Tesla Corporate, the advanced electronic skills to analyze and repair complex electronics are commonplace. That is why Tesla offers only PEM replacement at the service centers, with the electronics or PEMs being shipped back to the Reman Center in Lathrop, California. To fill a void, companies like ours have emerged, a rare breed of combined automotive repair background, but much more importantly, with years of advanced electronic skills. Assemblies like PEMs are properly serviced in a clean electronics lab environment full of equipment to support sophisticated electronics repairs. Simple emergency field repairs like blown fuses, maybe even board swaps on this assembly, could be done using a mobile repair effort. But even this type of repair in a PEM requires electronic skills, an understanding of electrostatic discharge principles, and some knowledge of what these components are, much more than a mechanical or body and paint background. This board swap strategy works assuming a steady supply of parts is available, which with Roadster electronics is just not the case. PEM parts have been out of production for over a decade, and defective boards and modules have to be repaired, right down to component level, which requires three things. 1. A lab equipped with test and process equipment. 2. Electronics labs staffed with EEs and electronic technicians. And 3. Since schematics and test procedures have not been released by Tesla or may never be released because they don't exist, the ability to reverse engineer boards and assemblies. Now this requires a special breed of people that can recreate schematics and test procedures much like an archaeological dig or forensic engineering, much of what Al is doing here on the bench under a microscope. In our electronics lab, we treat Roadster PEM rebuilds with surgical precision, following strict redundant QC protocols, verifying every torque setting not once but twice, and applying protocols we've evolved after years of rebuilding these electronic assemblies, just like aircraft repairs, where the margin for error is zero, considering this is a transportation device and replacement parts just no longer exist. None of these skills, equipment, or elaborate protocols exist in auto shops we compete with. Who you select to repair or especially rebuild your Roadster's only PEM is one of the most important decisions you will make about your car. Select the wrong vendor or company, and ample evidence indicates this is a bad decision. Often, what you thought was a full rebuild will actually only be partial, increasing the risk of failure. One shop claiming to do PEM rebuilding in the US merely scrapes the insulating material off the transistors and calls it a day, and charges you thousands. In fact, they proudly claim capacitor replacement is unnecessary since they have never seen a capacitor go bad in a PEM. Anyone that has spent any time repairing electronics immediately sees the fallacy in this ridiculous position. If you wait for a capacitor to fail, and they will with only an 8-year service life, it can take out expensive electronics no longer in production in the PEM. Here's our gallery of blown caps that we began to save. Another strategy employed to repair PEMs is the swap till you find it works philosophy, employed by shops with no electronics lab, no reverse engineering schematics, and no engineering personnel skilled in repairing down to component level and repairing the parts that they have removed. There's an expiration date to this repair strategy since you can only buy so many Roadsters for parts, and you will eventually run out of PEM parts. The ability to repair down to component level is the only way to preserve these PEMs and other important electronics in a Roadster. Competition for Roadster PEM rebuild services exists, and they usually overstate their abilities. The definition of rebuild and remanufacture varies quite a bit. A simple litmus test to make sure you're not picking the wrong vendor is: 1. Find out precisely what their rebuild procedure entails. Get a scope of work. Find out what they're going to replace, who is doing the work and their qualifications, and why. After all, you're spending thousands and deserve a full disclosure and a scope of work. Our website PEM Rebuild offering provides full transparency. You will see exactly what we're replacing, upgrading, and what engineering problems we resolve. Compare that to the other vendor before you pull the trigger. Our PEM rebuild includes replacement of around 50 parts and components, all replaced for very good reason. Common wear items are replaced, including not only the 21 capacitors, but mechanical items like high current contactors, relays, and an internal PEM fan, just like that small cooling fan in your PC that fails every few years. Long-standing engineering upgrades are resolved, which includes component replacement, insulating material upgrade, and enhancements like upgraded connector replacement, plus a bus bar modification, all of which we pioneered. Firmware backups of your Roadster are taken and stored for possible future corruption issues. GPS firmware corruption is resolved, and a 5-page checklist is part of our redundant QC protocol, checking our work not once, but twice. Although we prefer a system approach to PEM rebuilds, which includes the vehicle for complete diagnostic sessions, for international customers, we have specially built PEM shipping crates, which we can pre-ship, and a YouTube tutorial on how to safely remove your PEM and package it for safe travels. This PEM crate, for example, came from Hong Kong a few weeks ago and is currently one of the PEMs that you saw in the lab being completely rebuilt. Thank you for visiting our auto shop of the future. We hope that today's video was informational and gave you another glimpse into the special work that we do here. Thank you.